Here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to pull the Excalibastard. So, since this is going to be a YouTube highlight as well. G'day, ZiggyD here. Oh, we're going to do an intro. It's to make it official, otherwise it's not official otherwise. So, Excalibastard, I found this the day before launch because I had a review copy to play around with and was poking around doing a chest farming thing and managed to poke my way in here. It is located here in Stanton's Liver, which is just off Triton's Flat. It's just off the left. It's pretty obvious, I mean, because like you can see it on the map there. You're like, oh, I wonder what's over there. So it wasn't exactly very well hidden, so finding it wasn't really that great an achievement. But I made a video about it because at the time no one knew how to find. No one knew to get this. It says, "Are thou badass enough?" in yellow text, which kind of led most people to believe it was something to do with badass ranks. And then, like shortly after launch, like a couple hours after launch, people had used like save editors to edit their badass ranks to like 9,000 and stuff, and said that they were able to pull it. And it was eventually nailed down to you need 2,500 badass rank, and I think you need to finish the normal playthrough. Not exactly sure. Now, the thing to know about Excalibastard, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is a one-time only thing. You can pick it up once per character. And if you pick it up when you're level 30, it will be level 30, and that means it's going to be useless at endgame. So I highly suggest if you want to use Excalibastard at endgame, and it is a cool Cryo Laser Railgun melee weapon thing, if you want to use it at endgame, then you need to wait until 50 to pick it up. So I farmed my way to 50, we're finally here. And now we're ready, guys. Now we are ready for some Excalibastard action. Let's do this. Let's do this. Am I badass enough? I think I am. Oh yes, and we get a Steam achievement as well. Excalibastard! Oh baby. Oh yes. There is Excalibastard, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at it. Alrighty guys, so welcome back, cutting to some post-stream action here with the Excalibastard. I want to talk a bit about this gun, what some of its mechanics are, why it is pretty awesome, and just maybe give you guys some ideas and suggestions about what sort of builds and characters you can use it on. So Excalibastard is a laser weapon, it is a laser rifle, it is a railgun style laser rifle. Now, when it comes to laser rifles or laser weapons, the type is determined by the barrel, and this does have the railgun style barrel. Now, it is a cryo element laser rifle, so this is the new element added in the Borderlands pre-sequel, and this is going to be one of the most signature legendaries, and I think is already the most signature legendary for Borderlands the pre-sequel. This is a unique legendary for this game, and it does really sort of like capitalize on the mechanics of Cryo and also some of the playstyle elements added in this game. Now this gun has 100% accuracy, extremely accurate. It can be used as a sniper rifle. It can also be used as a very powerful CC or crowd control style of weapon, since you can freeze enemies with it fairly effectively. You start off at 40% freeze chance, but through additional freeze chance scaling you can get that to be a decent amount higher. If I scroll back and then scroll to my weapon just there, it's not showing on the tooltip for some reason. It might not be showing the badass rank additional elemental chance, I think, but this plus 6.8% here takes the 40% from your skill and then scales it by that amount. Now if you get anything in your tree, like for example Willem has some extra freeze chance on one of his, I think it's like the Cold War passives, then you can scale that up and you will actually see that represented on the little sheet on the right hand side there. It looks like the badass ranks aren't represented on the side there, so although it's 40% on the panel, it's going to be a little bit higher once you actually have a character that you've been playing for a while. Now the next thing you'll notice about the Excalibastard is that it does indeed have a big ass sword on the front, and this is represented on the stat panel by this plus 50% melee damage. I kind of wish this was a little bit higher, honestly, but with some of the other bonuses on characters like Athena, for example, you can get very, very effective melee, especially if you're using something like a Roid Shield. Now, this kind of alludes at the potential power and potential use of this gun. Now, you gain a bonus melee damage and bonus crit damage against enemies that are frozen. Now, this synergizes very well with the Excalibastard, since you do have a decent amount of chance of freezing things. So you freeze an enemy while you're at long or medium range, and then you close in for a melee attack to finish them off. And this is the sort of playstyle that I've seen the most effective with Excalibastard. And as such, I've seen it be the most effective with Athena. I think it can be useful on, you know, any of the characters potentially, and a lot of the characters do have some nice melee builds, but but I've definitely seen it really rocking on Athena builds, you know, popping that shield out to defend from long-ranged attacks, like using that 100% accuracy to easily snag a headshot, even from hip firing. It's very easy to get a headshot with this weapon. If you say the middle of the O is the headshot just there, you grab the headshot, get the freeze, run in melee with the actual weapon, and or if you're playing another character, you'll melee with the weapon, but Nisha does still get the damage bonus from this particular weapon. Now we can further see the potential of that just there is because if you actually freeze and then melee a frozen enemy with this weapon, there's a secondary effect that's not immediately very obvious. So what I'm going to do here is go for the crit freeze on this guy. You see it's a freeze. Now I believe it is actually a guaranteed freeze if you do get that crit. Now if I melee this guy just now, there should be an Ice Nova explosion, except for some reason there was not. Alright, let me see if I can get the freeze just here. I'm going to have to take out Magma Rivers. We can see we can get the bonus crit damage there, dealing very nice damage on the crits. Magma Rivers here is a unique mob in this area just there, so he's kind of like a mini-boss style guy. And we can hopefully get the freeze on one of these guys without killing them. And then, nope, that's probably not going to happen. I'm going to be crit freezing all of them and killing them instantly. Okay, so I'll see if I can demonstrate this melee Ice Nova explosion for you guys, because I do think that's a pretty important mechanic, and sort of, here we go, here we go. Where is that Ice Nova explosion? There it is, and this is what makes this item, this is what really consolidates that power as a melee slash sniping weapon that I was kind of talking about, that unique sort of playstyle this weapon exemplifies, and that is, as I said, freezing those enemies with that crit, rushing in, meleeing, and then you get that Ice Nova that damages and freezes enemies in a Nova around you. So that's obviously very powerful as melee, because if you're getting into melee range, you're potentially going to be surrounded by enemies, and then when you do that melee attack and you get that freeze Ice Nova, it not only protects you, but makes other enemies around you vulnerable to further melee attacks. So very interesting and very powerful playstyle, I think. I think people will pick up this item, take a few shots with it, feel it's not very powerful, and then kind of dismiss it. But I do think this is an extremely powerful weapon when used correctly, and when you keep that idea of how this weapon is designed to be played with in mind. If you keep that in mind, I think you'll realize the actual power of this particular weapon. It's also, I just have to say, it's a really cool designed weapon. It's a really sick sort of style. It kind of reminds me of like Knights of the Templar in like the Warhammer 40k universe, you know? It kind of reminds me of that like future tech kind of mixed with like, you know, Holy Crusade style thing, and with the whole Excalibastard style mythos there. I think that fits perfectly. I especially like the art on the scope when you zoom in there. You can see the red highlight on the center targeting reticle when you are aiming over an enemy or over something that needs to be purged. But I especially love like the art style of the scope there, and I feel like that really fits in with the theme I was mentioning of that kind of that like future tech Holy Crusade style warrior. Now do remember guys, if you want to get yourself an Excalibastard, you need to get 2500 badass rank. I believe you also need to complete the game through at least once, but I highly recommend if you want to use this gun at end game, leaving it until you are level 50 to pull it. You can only get this gun once per character through legit means. So you want to wait until you're 50 to do it, because when you do pull this gun from the stone, when you pull Excalibastard from the stone, it's going to be the level of your character, so you do want to wait until you are that higher level. So anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this overview of the Excalibastard. I think it's a really neat gun, and hopefully you guys have a little more appreciation for it now as well. That's it for now, I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.